This Sherpa hat is made from only one pattern piece and sewn at the center back. I designed the shape so it's as simple as possible and quick to make. I used leftover wrapping paper from the holidays. I like using wrapping paper with 1-inch grid on the back. Grid is not super accurate, but it helps to draw perpendicular lines easily. When I first tried to make the pattern with this paper, it was curling like crazy, and the more I cut the shape, the worse it got. So I quickly ironed it with medium heat setting. I think I got away with it because the paper wasn't coated with shiny stuff. I will demonstrate how I took my head measurement on my head mannequin. Take head circumference by placing the measuring tape at the widest part of your head. Decide how long you want your hat's ear flaps. I ended up making it much longer than pictured here. Imagine there is an ear here. Take ear-to-ear measurements from the top of one ear to the top of the other ear over the head like this. In order to accommodate the thickness of the fabric, you want to add about 1/2 inch to 1.5 inch to the head circumference. I wanted to use thick faux shearing fabric for both upper fabric and lining fabric, so I added 1.5 inch to the head circumference. The perpendicular line is half of the measurement between tips of ear flaps over your head. Fold the rectangle in half. Fold it in half again. Fold it in half again. Open the last fold and fold the two corners at the top. Open the corner folds at the top and you got 90 degrees fold line here. Measure down 4 to 5 inches from the top. From about halfway point of the one fold line, draw a curved line to the mark you just made. Hold all layers tightly and cut on the line. Fold it in half again and at 7 inches or half of your ear-to-ear measurement, make a mark. Then measure 3.5 inches from the fold and draw a line. This is half of front opening. You can make this smaller or bigger if you like. From the line, measure down 3.5 again. This line is parallel to the line above and also 3.5 inch long. Draw a line parallel to the fold from the edge of the top line down to the bottom of the paper. This is not necessary, but I rounded the edge of the front flap using a round object I had close by. Draw a line for the back of the hat. For my hat, this happened to be the same level as this line. Now draw the ear flap shape. This is your design choice, but I rounded the front side with the same round object I used for the front flap and free-handed the back side shape. Cut on this line. I used some pins to keep the two layers from shifting around. Place pins or weights and cut around the pattern, adding seam allowances. I used 1/2-inch seam allowances all around. I just eyeballed it, but you can mark the seam allowance before cutting. For the front opening, cut off the seam allowance like this so you can cut into the front flap shape with straight line. Cut out the same shape from the lining. In my case, I cut the same shape twice from the same fabric. Sew these darts first. When you are working with thick and fluffy materials like this, use longer stitches than usual. When you come to the end of the dart, make it curve along the edge and blend it smoothly. Fold the piece in half and sew the center seam. When you come to the darts, open the seam allowances on both sides to reduce the bulk. I added my label to the center back for the design accent. It's easier to add decorations like this at this point because my fabric is very thick. Put 2 layers together with the right sides of fabric facing each other. Leave about 4 inches at the center back so you can flip the hat right side out later. Starting from this point, sew 1/2 inch from the edge all around. When you come to the sides of front flap area, use 1/4 of an inch as seam allowances if possible. When you come to the base of the front flap, make 1 stitch perpendicular to the cut edges and pivot. And then continue stitching. I use a ladder stitch to close up the center back opening. I added these buttons when I sewed the front flap in place. Dig out fur from the seams. Long machine stitches you use will make this step easier. I tested the hat in below freezing temperature, and although I need some kind of closure to bring the ear flaps together, the hat was otherwise very warm.